Hi, and welcome back to the Becoming Better with Startup Experts podcast. We are doing a marathon of podcasts from Transform 2026, which is one of Startup Experts' biggest gatherings. For those who don't know, Startup Experts is a community of 2,500 HR, finance, and ops people from around the world. And it's a community that started to give operators within startups more community and connectivity. And so today I am very excited to interview one of our sponsors. So Kevin, I would love if you could introduce yourself and your company, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great. My name is Kevin. I am the CEO and co-founder of Camino. We are an employee onboarding platform really focused around enablement of new hires and managers. And my background was I was a teacher and I worked in communities and nonprofits. I eventually became a software engineer, worked at a number of companies in the Bay Area, and eventually took over Twilio's global tech apprenticeship. So I learned a lot about how to make new hires impactful or successful in my time there, but also more importantly, I learned a lot of how do you make managers successful. So then started Camino as a platform to bring those learnings to every company.
So you were telling us a little bit about your journey and how you got to being a startup founder.
Yep.
There's a real passion behind bringing people into organizations and making sure that they find their place.
Yeah.
There's so many threads I want to pull on, but maybe the first one is, what have you found your best clients do?
Yeah. I think what's really interesting about having worked with some really great people teams is it's kind of just an intentionality that you see. It's that they set out, like, onboarding is a sliver of what people teams do. And especially at growing companies that have very small people teams, they don't have a lot of time. But the ones that are doing it really well are the ones that are being really intentional about it and then iterating on it afterwards. And so for me, it's been really cool to see how different people approach it. And then if we learn best practices through working with them or for them using our product and we're doing like a quarterly business review with them and seeing a lot of success, then that helps us understand what is good onboarding. And then from there, we can bring those ideas to the larger community and again, continue to like be intentional, try new things and iterate on it.
I'm going to double click. I've been using that word a lot.
Yes.
Sometimes you just have like a day of using a word. Give me an example of what intentionality looks like.
Mm-hmm. Well, onboarding is very expansive and it can be really challenging. People will be like, yeah, we have great onboarding, but that could mean that you have a really good, all-in-one system that does all the IT and provisioning and all those other things. But on day one, are they meeting with their manager? Do they get like a welcome note from the CEO or someone in leadership? Are they having like FaceTime with them? So a lot of it is figuring out what is the culture that we have and how do we create content and experiences that can meet people at the right moment with it. So it's like day one, really important, but then they're getting all of this information. What about like a week 2 check-in? And so again, it's like thinking about the entire new hire experience and deciding when's the right time for certain things and really focusing in on connection, belonging, making sure the manager is there and supporting. So it's a hard problem to solve with technology, to be honest, because a lot of that is human. And so what we do a lot of is we're trying to empower people teams to be able to empower managers, because if we send a bot message to a manager, they're probably not going to do it. But if we can surface the right content to a people team saying, hey, this manager is behind, or this manager hasn't checked in on this, or this new hire is struggling based on the data that we have, then the people team can have like this intentional moment of coming to either the aid of the new hire or enabling the manager and making sure something gets done.
Okay, so the question I was asking is human plus AI.
Mm-hmm.
You just talked about how if you have a bot sending signals to managers, they're not going to listen. So enabling your people team to have that human connection. How are you thinking about the world of Gen AI, the product you're building, and the ultimate consumer of the work that you're doing?
Yeah. I am a big fan of AI, and then there's also aspects about workplace culture that I'm really struggling with right now because more is being asked of people. They're smaller teams, they
Yeah.
use AI, but at the end of the day, AI is not fully automated. And even if it is, again, do people want to interact with it? And so what we've done is we were really intentional. Like when we started out, we were trying to find what are the areas that we can really drive value with AI. And for us, it's been a lot around empowering the people teams. But we also want to make sure that we're not overwhelming them, that because there is just so much being asked of people right now. I think there's that human component of um, like using the tools that we have at hand as a tool. It's not the solution, it's a tool that the people are using. And that's what we always remind ourselves is we are building with people team members. Like we have a great advisory board, we have customer advisors, and we're sitting down with them and we're understanding their workflows and we're trying to figure out, is it clunky? What can we do to be better? Obviously from an efficiency standpoint, but also can you delight them? Like when they're using these tools, what's it feel like? Because I'm really nervous about this modern way of working that people are just going to have more work, more burdens, and it's going to really impact mental health. So that's kind of what we've been kind of working through is like, how can we use it to an advantage, but also being really intentional around that?
Um, you talked earlier on about being a community builder and having a real passion around that. So I want to bring it back to Startup Experts, which is a organization that you have put dollars behind. Tell me how you chose us. And
so I actually have a number of our HR advisors are in Startup Experts, and that's how it came to us. We do things, or we even bring our advisors together and we do like these monthly coffees. And, some of it is really fun in that they get a lot of value of just honestly connecting with each other, even though we interface with them one-on-one. And so they were telling us a lot about how meaningful the Startup Experts community was, that we should definitely start trying to connect. And when we sat down with Startup Experts, we're a very small company. We're bootstrapped intentionally. And so our our growth and like our sales and all of that is very different than a venture backed company. And so we're always trying to find communities that we can try to give value to that might be in the content that we produce, or a learning and development opportunity where we can share the best practices about what we know, and really help communities, because at the end of the day, we need to be really intentional about how we grow. So long story short, it was a bunch of our advisors who recommended. We met with Jesse. It was just from the start, like a really good, we got a really good vibe from them. And then had the opportunity to sponsor something at Transform, which honestly ended up being like one of my favorite workshops that I've been to at Transform.
Oh,
so
yay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's been great.
That's exciting. And so this is not your first Transform. This is second year you've been here.
Yep.
What are you hearing that's different this year than last year? And I know we're 24 hours in, so it's not like...
I think I'm probably going to say what I'm sure a number of other people have said, but last year AI was on the newer side, and it was a lot about what it could potentially do. And I kept on feeling that a lot of people leaders were struggling with FOMO, or like a fear of not adopting quickly. And then a lot of the sessions were around how to adopt AI. But there was a need for wanting to understand at a more deeper level last year around like, give me practical examples. And so I think this year, people are coming back with practical examples that they've been through and they can share with other people, or they can learn from other people. That's been really interesting. Another component is I think that people are burning out on the AI content. And so I'm seeing a lot of my friends and other people leaders really going to the things around like DEI in the workplace, or like how to build connection, and some of these other sessions that are not focused on that. Because at the end of the day, like, it's great that we have these learning opportunities for AI, but again, there's all of these other areas that drive value and people want to learn. And I think that it's been cool to see people choose those as like, this is the one I don't want to miss.
I don't know if you made it to any of the keynotes this morning, but there were a couple of comments made of like, okay, great, agents are going to come and they're going to do a heck of a lot of work, and they may take work off of our plates. And then what's left? It's humans trying to connect with humans again. Which I just thought was like, oh yeah, like, duh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, we are a social community. and human connection is so important. And so the evolution of how all of this plays out, I mean, nobody knows what it is, but
I'll be interested. Like I'm hopeful and skeptical, right? Where it's like, they reduce work so we can focus on those other things, or it's like, no, they reduce work so we can take on more work, right? But like my goal, like I would love to see people teams really be able to focus in on the connection, belonging, supporting, enablement, those types of areas, because I also think that from what a lot of the people leaders we work with tell us, that's where they feel like that's why they got into it, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, and in HR, I say this all the time, has a long tail of like nonsensical, invisible work. And so if you can automate that and truly focus on where we can be human strategic advisors, everyone wants that.
Absolutely.
Like companies want that too.
Absolutely.
They don't want me bogged down with a bunch of like nonsense work. So
it's interesting too, because I think one of the trends that I noticed as we brought on advisors and I started working with some of our first customers a few years ago, was how many people leaders come from like a varied background, but psychology, like community building, like all of these like really these backgrounds that are focused around humans. Of course, that's the role. And it is cool to see, like it would be great if all that other manual work, like you don't have a degree or experience to be doing data entry. It's great that we can get rid of that, so that they can focus in on the things that drive like their passion.
But I mean, I think you highlight a real risk of like, great, here's more work, but not more resources. And oh, by the way, here we go again, bogged down and unable to do the human thing that we were like trained to do or care about doing most
100%.
So I'm with you on the like, I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
And I think maybe my like one piece of advice for any organization rethinking with intentionality that onboarding process, like what is one piece of advice you would give?
So I think that the idea, like one thing that I see it happen a lot in onboarding is someone will put a lot of time and effort into it, and then they'll build it out, and then they have to switch into something else. So, but it's going, and it's an experience, and it's a pretty good experience, but they're not learning how is it for the new hire or the manager. And I think there's really small things that one can do in order to get some pretty big feedback. Like even if it's sitting down with the last 4 new hires and the last 4 managers that onboarded somebody and just having a 45-minute discussion, like, how was it for you? What could we do better? And then just learning what those are and then iterating. Because I think anything that I've seen in the talent world, I've made such a mistake so many times about these great big plans and these great programs, and then I do it and it doesn't work, right? But I learn that it doesn't work and then I make it better. And so I think for people teams, like onboarding is very important. It's not often the most urgent, but there are small things that you can do to learn and then just like, okay, we're going to make 2-3 changes and then see how that goes. And then, so it's again, measuring, do something small that's not a lot of effort, but gives you a lot of information, and then make 1, 2, 3 changes. And I think it can have a really big impact on the new hires experience, which again, like is this moment where they've just started, they have all these fears, they've decided, they got courted to come to the company, and you have this opportunity to be like, this is who we are, this is how we do things. And it's such a cool opportunity, and you can have a really big impact on them.
What I'm hearing you say is like, ask people. So there's no one size best practice checklist. It's ask the people you work with. And as people teams, survey and pulse the last few new hires and say, what can we do better? Start small and then build from there.
100%.
Amazing. Okay. So thank you all for joining us. Kevin Barry, one of our new startup experts, sponsors and supporters running Camino. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.